Hello, everybody. So good afternoon and welcome to What Malaysian Youth Should Know online series. And right here today, we are very honored to have Dato William joining us today. So for those of you who have just joined in, say hi to us, help us to like and share this post so that we can benefit more people out there as well. So in the meantime, while we're waiting right here, we have Lawrence together with here and we have Dato William. So just say hi, just say hi.
Hello.
Hi everyone.
All right.
Everyone.
And for those of you who have just joined in, help us to also like and share at the same time. Do also start the watch party so you can share with many more people out there. So we are currently streaming this from my Prentice Facebook page. And for those of you here, you can actually start your watch party from your own personal accounts. And again, today's interview, we will be speaking on the perspective of pre and post-COVID, specifically in terms of the SME business owners and the employees. So again, for those of you here just coming in, send us your love, send us your hi, so that we know that you're watching this right now. And we will also welcome you to like and share this post so that we can benefit many more people out there. And to also give you a little bit of gifts. So what happened is that, so if you help to share this post as well, we will be selecting some lucky winners who will walk away with some gifts from us. Right, so in the meantime, for those of you here, just say hi to us. Let us know you are here one more time. Drop us your hi, drop us your love. Let us know you are here. In the meantime, we're going to do some shares as well. All right, so just want to quickly introduce ourselves. My name is Wesley. I'm one of the trustees of My Prentice. My Prentice specializes in youth activation, do a lot of CSR programs as well. Here's Lawrence, the founding chairman, and I will give the privilege to Dato William to introduce himself. And so why not, before we just officially start, so Dato, probably would you want to just introduce yourself in a way to our audience here today? Over to you.
Sure. So of course, you'd heard my name is William. So I've been an entrepreneur and been running SMEs for over the past, I think 22, 23 years. So multiple businesses. I think the one that most people know me for is actually I'm the publisher of SME magazine. But since then, we've also gone to a lot of other things, but that is probably how most people know us. Yes.
Right. So as Business Media International. All right. So I mean, like just for a casual chat, as you're waiting, more people are coming in. For those who are here again, send us your love. Let us know you're here. Say hi. Okay. So what have you been doing for the past few days?
I think this is a welcome break. Over the past 2 weeks, have felt that I've not been actually doing much or as much as I would want to. So I'm quite happy today that I've been invited to join you guys for this live session.
Right. We are very honored as well. So Lawrence, what about you? These few days, what have you been doing?
Of course, every afternoon I've been spending my time with you. I've been speaking to a lot of people. We just started this about 3 days ago, and tomorrow we're going to have a very exciting speaker in the morning. So I've been very busy these few days, looking into this online series, preparing questions and sending pictures to my designers. So yes, I'm quite occupied in the last few days.
All right, and just for those of you watching this right now from your home, so this WMYSK, What Malaysian You Should Know online series. Every single day, 2 p.m., we'll be having a live show like this, an afternoon chat, I would say, where we talk about some prominent people, celebrity speakers on the perspective from different angles. So we have got sports, we've got entrepreneurship, and we're very glad here today we have Dato William talking about entrepreneurship, SMEs, and business owners. Okay, so here's my question for you, Dato William. As of now, What's your take on the current stimulus package from the viewpoint of the SMEs? What's your take on that?
I think this has been well publicized already. Most SMEs think that the current economic stimulus program as it is has not been very helpful. I think this is generally what people are saying. I think, first of all, a lot of people misunderstand that that SMEs are actually expecting bailout or freebies from the government. Actually, that's far from that. But the reality is that as early as last year, most SMEs are really struggling because of the China-US trade war, because of global uncertainty. So for most SMEs, we have already been working on a very tight margin, even last year, not even before this COVID-19 has come about. But of course, with the COVID-19 coming in as I think last December until March, business for some people has gone down by as much as 90%. So that makes it very unsustainable for most businesses to go along, to continue their business. So what most SMEs are hoping is not so much as a bailout, but some form of help to enable them to keep their business running and to enable them to keep hiring Malaysians so that we don't have to retrench people, we don't have to ask people to take leave, we do not have to fire people, we don't have to close down our business and people lose their job. I think ultimately that is what most SMEs are asking for. Unfortunately, when we look at the stimulus program, what has been offered to SMEs are not exactly overly helpful. Of course, we are grateful that the government has here introduced a 600 ringgit wage subsidy. But I think this wage subsidy, I don't know whether Lawrence will agree. I think this wage subsidy is hardly sufficient for most SMEs. If you consider the fact that for many SMEs, especially those in the services sector, salary can be as much as 30-40% of their expenses. And if an average employee take home, say, 3,000 ringgit, a 600 ringgit subsidy is effectively only 20%. And we translate that into saving in terms of expenses. There's less than 10% help to SMEs generally. So that's number one. Secondly, I think we have also made it overly difficult for SMEs to claim. I think there's two clauses here. One is that you have to prove that you are losing as much as 50% of your business between January to March to be entitled to do so. Right. You've got to bear in mind that most SMEs, the margin is as tight as, let's say, 5% margin. A 50% drop in business is effectively, more than half losses to the company. So for every ringgit that the company generate, they're losing 50 cents, right? So one is that we miss that. So we should not have that kind of a overly stringent criteria to say 50% down in revenue before you're entitled to the 600 ringgit. So that's number one. Number two, there's also a precondition that you have to keep your business for 6 months after the entire subsidy is over. So let's say you start collecting the subsidy in April, and your last subsidy is in June. You're obliged to keep your business, or you're not allowed to retrench anybody until December. So effectively, this 600 ringgit per month per employee is for us to keep our employees for the next 9 months. But the fact is, we know that after the COVID-19 is over, that is only the beginning of the trouble for SMEs. I think we are foreseeing that the global economy is going to be badly affected. I think even Bank Negara itself has already come out with a guidance to say that our GDP is going to have a negative growth, first time in many, many years. So many SMEs are foreseeing that if they don't get more help beyond this 600 ringgit wage subsidy, many SMEs will be closing down. So obviously, if you ask me, is this stimulus program being useful for SMEs? I would say somewhat, but it really falls short in seriously helping our SMEs. That is why you see a lot of complaints from SMEs out there in Facebook, in social media, in Twitter, and website, and so on. And this is exactly how most SMEs feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, that's a very thorough answer that you gave. I mean, in terms of this, like from your own perspective, what do you wish to see more of in this stimulus package?
I think, first of all, we hope the government is able to consider at the very least, to double the wage subsidy. I think that would help a lot. Ideally, as many associations has requested, anything between 30% to 70% wage subsidy across the board. Don't have a cap of 4,000 ringgit. I think the issue here is not so much about who is entitled and who is not. It's really what can we do to help our SMEs to remain not profitable to survive this COVID-19 episode. I think that is one. Secondly, I think equally important is the possibility of waiving all income tax for companies, for SMEs, for the rest of the year. I think that would be very helpful. I think more than anything else, SMEs need is not just financial assistance, but also moral assistance, saying that, look, the government realizes that money itself will not do miracles. We can continue pumping money, but it may not do miracles. But if you are able to convince SMEs that, look, whatever money that you make through some miracle this year, you will be able to keep all of them through a waiver of income tax. I think that is two things that we really hope for.
Right, quite spot on. So based on your outlook and based on your perspective, I know that there are many industries, many sectors are badly hit. Now, to your perspective, what sectors do you think will be the worst? Or no, I wouldn't say worst. What sectors will be badly affected?
I think it goes without saying those that are related to tourism, hotels, airlines will be badly affected. This is already affecting many SMEs, especially those, if you look at airlines, you don't consider them as SMEs. But when you look at a little bit down a little bit down the line, you have the smaller hotels, the budget hotels, who are already struggling before this. Many of these will be closing shop. Then there are the travel agents, and more importantly, the many freelancers, the many self-employed people within the travel and tourism industry. Many of these people will be terribly affected. And then when you follow the chain, then you go to things like restaurants, things like F&B. Now, this will be affected as well. One of the associations that we belong to, which is MASHOS, that's the Malaysian Association of Exhibition and Conference Organizer. Every meeting that we have over the past 3 months, we hear people crying, really grown men crying. That's how bad it is. Businesses that's been built over 20 years, hard-earned savings are now being used. Money that has been set aside for children's education are now being used by these SMEs and entrepreneurs to pump back into the company, to keep the company going, to ensure that the staff are still getting a salary, and forgoing all these savings that are meant for their own children. So people are actually, this is a very, very serious problem for many SMEs that are related to the tourism, exhibition events industry. Many has already closed down. We have heard this a lot of reports saying that associations are predicting as many as 300,000 SMEs to close down. But bear in mind, even within our own close circle, we are already seeing people closing down, even before COVID-19. So as early as January, February, before the MCO take place, we're already seeing people throwing in the towel and saying, we give up, we cannot continue anymore. So we do not want that to continue happening. I think that is exactly what we hope the government can help to prevent.
Sure. Dato, I think it's a very very straightforward answer as well. I think we also see this. I also have friends who also already decided to stop and have enough, and will revisit this later on when things are even better. They say okay. But I want to ask this, Dato. We have spoke. Of course, we are very thankful to our frontliners that is at the hospitals, that is at the police, that is helping us taking care or whatever that is being taken care of now. SMEs also should be the frontliner in businesses, because I think more than 80 to 90% of businesses in Malaysia are SMEs. So what do you think is the fate of our employees, Malaysian employees, if this frontliner of business fall?
I think you are absolutely right, Dr. Lawrence. Many people don't consider business people or entrepreneurs as frontliners. There's a lot of misconception out there if you look at the social media. Every time SMEs say, give us some help. Yeah, for every one of those suggestions, yes, you deserve help, you get another 1,000 people who say you don't. The general perception is that if business people are making profit during the good time, shouldn't the business people then be the ones to suffer and go through this tough time on their own? So that is a general misunderstanding that most people has. But what most people do not understand, and I think Dr. Lawrence would agree, is that for most SMEs right now, the main thing in their mind is not so much about their own livelihood. It's not about the profit. It's about what can we do to keep our business going, and more importantly, how can we keep our employees having a job? Because as entrepreneurs, as SMEs, our responsibility is not just our own business. It is the tens of and hundreds of employees that work for us, and the tens of hundreds of family members of these employees. All these people rely on us. So an SME who want to be selfish can easily close their business tomorrow, right? They just have to say, look, we are not profitable, we're losing money, we close it down. And as a result, we retrench everybody. And if you retrench everybody when your business is not doing well, there's really no legal implication at all. You're insolvent, you can't continue anymore. But many SMEs are not doing that. Many SMEs are not doing that. Why? What is stopping them from closing down now, and then say 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road, restart another business, minus all the expenses, and start fresh again and continue the business? They could have done that. But many SMEs don't do that, precisely because at the top of everyone's mind is the welfare of our employees. That is a kind of responsibility that many people do not see. Even during good time, many people say, look at the bosses, we calculate, he sell let's say a packet of something for 10 ringgit. Take out the expenses, the cost of this, the cost of that, he make about 3 ringgit per packet. So this boss is making a lot of money, 3 ringgit for every packet that he sells. But what people don't see, from the 3 ringgit, there are a lot of other hidden costs. There's a legal cost. There's the auditors, there's a secretarial fee, there's a rental, there's money that you have to set aside in case, say, for example, your employee falls sick, you have to go and pay for the hospitalization. There are things like that. So that 3 ringgit effectively could be as little as 1 ringgit or 50 cents. People don't see that. And that is during good time. But when time is bad like now, that 1 ringgit and 50 cents of profit can turn into the 3-4 ringgit of loss for every packet that you sell. So a lot of people don't see that. So what we really hope through this incident, that we hope that more of our youth open up their eyes and say, look, it's not as clear cut as what we think, that SMEs and bosses in general are doing well, and that whatever money that they make is all theirs and theirs alone. I know a lot of bosses that look good in the front, right? Carrying big name card, this and that. But actually, they are struggling on a day-to-day basis. They just don't share, for the sake of convincing and ensuring that there's continuity. They don't share the trouble that they have. Right, so I think that is something that we need to ensure more clarity between both employers and, of course, the employees as well.
Yes, Dato, I personally agree so much with what you said, and personally, I also spoke to all my employees as well. That I actually also even raised that because my practice is also very event driven. We do a lot of events, and of course, this next 6 months, there's no event that's going to happen. I spoke to my team. I say I'm not going to exercise any pay cut, but there are certain things that we need to compromise. Dato, what do you think about this? I would not say it's an advice, but what do you suggest that both employer and employee can, come into a consensus to work together to go through this difficult situation?
I think it is very clear for most employees, and I think also for most employees, that that bosses cannot simply cut salary. Bosses cannot simply retrench you. Bosses cannot simply force you to take leave. And we don't advise that to SMEs. Why would you do that? I think ultimately, we must all realize that we are all in this together. I think that is very important. We should no longer have this perception of they are they and we are we. We shouldn't be bothered about what they are struggling and how they are doing. We should not think like that. I think employees must work together with employers for one objective and one objective only, and that is how do we keep this boat that we are all in together afloat during this entire COVID pandemic. I think that is very important, right? So that means for employers or even employees to initiate discussion. How can we save money for the company? What are the areas that we can cut down? And if it is necessary to take on voluntary leaves and so on, then do so if that would be helpful. I think that is what we are asking for. And I'm quite grateful, Dato Lawrence. I don't know whether that's happening to you and your friends, but many of my friends who are SMEs are reporting, they say, that employees, not just the long-serving employees, people who may have joined them just 6 months, 9 months ago, are actually coming to them and volunteering. They say, look, can we offer to take a pay cut? Maybe not 50%, maybe 10%, to help out, since we're not doing anything at home. Can we help out? So we are quite grateful that there are people who actually volunteer to do that. Not only that, we also, ourselves personally, for example, in my case, for example, we have employees from departments that are not able to work from home because of the nature of their work, volunteering to actually take on roles that are different roles where they can actually do something at home. So they're telling us, look, we don't want you to continue paying us a salary. We want you to continue paying us a salary, but at the same time, we want to be able to earn those salary. We want to do something for the company. I think this is the right mindset that employees should consider, because ultimately, if we stand firm on not moving, that we have the legal right, we are not going to do anything. In 3 months' time, you may no longer have a job, and that's not what we want. All right, so we need to look a little bit longer term. What do we really want, right? And what we want is job stability. What we want is our income to be protected. And if that is what we want, then therefore we should be cooperative with our employer where possible. We're very reasonable. Of course, if an employer comes to you and say, look, we're going to do this to you, do that to you, and anything is unreasonable, then by all means, don't take it. I think that is the right thing to do.
Correct.
That's a very good point. And so right now, for those of you here who still who are watching this right now, we would like to invite you to also like, comment, and share this Facebook Live, because I'm sure as of now, I'm also learning a lot of different perspective from you, Dato William. And so I would like to invite all of you to like, comment, and also share this post, because at the end of this, we'll be picking some lucky winners to walk away with some gifts from us. And just to make sure that once you share this, is to also remain this at a public privacy status, so you can all access to this as well. So right now, does any one of you have any questions? You can start commenting your questions right now. We'll be taking some questions for Dato William. And also for the meantime, so Dato, we have got people saying hi to you. We have Ramatullah saying hi, Jana saying hi to you, Dato. Tasmin
Hi,
saying
Jana.
hi.
Hi, Tasmini.
Lin Wong says she's agree it's not an easy decision for employer facing situation now and taking care of the welfare of the staff. So we got over different sites. We have Lance Wong, Stephanie, we have Shireen saying hi to you as well. Thank you for the very meaningful sharing as of now. And for those of you here, if you have any questions, please feel free to just drop your questions in the comment section, and we would love to address some of your questions to Dato William. All right, so just now we mentioned about, so this whole WMYSK is all about asking for the perspective of the business owners and the employees. And we touched about what exactly do you think about the current stimulus, what you want to see more of, what should the employers and the employee together work hand in hand on the same boat, so we can make sure that the business sustains. And another one part that again is to make sure that everybody is there, is not just the profit itself, but also to make sure the entire family members, the welfare are taken care of. I think there's one perspective that you have given, a very nice sharing from you, Dato. All right, so in the meantime, any one of you have any questions, just feel free to comment if there's any questions right there. And okay, so just my curiosity for you, Dato William, as of your knowledge, right? So we know that the current market is, the SMEs are unhappy. So what have organizations or associations done so far to bring this up to the government?
I think that's very good. I think many SMEs have been working in isolation for too many years. If you ask any of the SME associations out there, I mean, that's the more common ones. You have the SME Association of Malaysia, and the one that I'm in personally, the Small and Medium Enterprises Association of Malaysia or something. But the number of SME associations out there, I think it is important for SMEs to join it. So that's number one. Secondly, I think many of the associations are already come out with their own concentrated effort, to present to the government the viewpoint of the SMEs. I think the ball now is actually on the court of the government, whether they think that these proposals or these suggestions by the associations are something that they want to consider. Because we know that there are many things that the government need to consider and juggle. So it's not just the plight of the SMEs, so to speak. They're also the plight of our B40 other professions and so on. I think there are two groups of people that we may have missed completely, and I think that is equally important. One is the expected 1 million freelancers that are out there. These are neither employees nor SMEs. They're just freelancers. I take an example. Somebody who say do graphic design as a freelance work.
Yes.
And they'll say they make 5,000 ringgit. They build companies and they make 5,000 ringgit a month. They will not qualify for the Bantuan Prihatin because they exceeded the 4,000 ringgit in income. But in reality, is that really the income? No, because from the 5,000 ringgit, they have to pay for transportation. They have to pay for the monthly cost of the software to design. To Adobe or whoever not that they pay to. They have to pay for income tax. They have to pay for their own medical because they got no benefits at all. So from the 5,000 ringgit, and they have to pay for printing, and they have to print things for your employer or companies that are making use of your freelance services. So effectively, your 5,000 ringgit that you earn could be as little as 2,000 ringgit at the end of the month. But unfortunately, because you do not fall under any of this category that as part of the Bantuan that has been announced recently, you're not going to get a single cent from the government. And that is sad. There's a million of people out there who are like that. Yes, we have narrowed down and we have identified the people who are Grab drivers, drivers and so on. So those we are helping. What are those people who fall into freelance in other category? What are we doing to help them? So that is one area that I think the government also have to balance. So it's not just the SME needs and the B40 needs, but also what do we do to help people like that? The other group of people that I think we have totally missed out, I think, are our foreign workers, or I like to call them guest workers. We have as many as 5 million guest workers in Malaysia. What are they doing now? Are they being paid? Are their welfare taken care of? Are their health needs being taken care of? We have to understand that we should never consider these people as outside of our ecosystem. They're very much part of our ecosystem. They live with us. They travel on the same bus as us. They pass us on the way to work. They shop at the same grocery store and so on as us. So if there's any problem, any social issue that befalls them, whether it's health issue, like they contract COVID, or if they become they lose their job and so on, this will come back and impact us personally. I think that is something that is very important, and it's also a humanity issue. We take them on, we ask them to help us build a country, to build our school, to build our road, to clean our rubbish, to take care of our office buildings and our condominium and so on, to ensure that security is good, etc. So we use them. We benefited from them being here, and when times like this, what are we doing in return? What has the government doing in return? What is us general citizens doing to help these guest workers, the millions of guest workers out there who are probably struggling more thoroughly than us? Many of us who are still having a job are getting a free 500 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit or 600 or 1,002 from the government, free. We still have a job, bearing in mind. We don't have to go to work. We don't have to pay for transportation. We're still able to cook at home. And we still have a job and a company that pay us in full, because companies cannot simply fire you. But these guest workers don't have all these things. Many of them has already been told to take unpaid leave. Go. You're not going to pay you. So that is the challenge that we need to address as well. On top of all the other issues that we're addressing.
Yeah. Right. And I want to quote you what you say, that you say that probably the beginning is only after MCO is over, right? So like based on your perspective, how long do you think that this aftermath will be?
I think many look at it from a macro perspective. Of course, many economies are predicting that there will be a recession. There will be a major recession coming right after COVID-19 pandemic, or even while the pandemic is still around. And this would last as long as 18 months, according to most people's prediction. I think on the ground, we're also feeling the same thing. Many SMEs do not realize this. And if you are an SME listening to this, I think it's very important for us to take, I won't say a negative perspective, but to take a very careful perspective on how to run our business. Many of us has done our maths and say, we have enough saving to last us 2 months, 3 months, 4 months after the MCO is lifted. And if the orders start coming in and the business start coming in after the MCO, then our business should be up 70, 80% of where it was by the end of the year. But these are all very optimistic predictions. What happened if the economy turned even worse? We have gone through this during SARS. The impact, the lag between what is happening and the reality of what's going to happen eventually can be as late as 3 to 6 months. So what I'm saying is that we might think that, we are able to survive this if the MCO is lifted by end of the month. But in reality, there are many things that are outside of our control that we do not know. So I hope that SMEs take this into consideration. You really, really should have your plan B right now. You should really, really have things sorted out right now, because this will be a prolonged economic problem for most of us.
Right, interesting. So you mentioned it's going to be up to even 18 months, right? Because a lot of people say 3 to 6 months and all, but 18 months, I think it's a very, like what you say, it's very conservative, yet we should be prepared because we don't know what's going to happen next, right? So my next question to you is, okay, I'm going to call the elephant in the room. So do you foresee there will be a high retrenchment rate after MCO?
I think the issue of whether companies are retrenching or not is not even an issue. There definitely will be retrenchment. The question is whether we're looking at tens of thousands or millions. And this all depends, one, on the SME community itself. Are we willing to stomach the pain? Are we able to sacrifice more to enable the economy to keep going so that we minimize the loss of employment? Is the government willing to help and chip in to ensure that SMEs survive? And equally important, employees, our own youths, willing to make some small sacrifices to enable your respective businesses to do well so that we minimize the number of retrenchment going on. As if any other previous crisis, whether it's the Asian financial crisis, the SARS episode, as well as the recent global financial crisis, we see a jump of retrenchment. not just from SMEs, but mainly, surprisingly, from larger companies, the GLCs and the MNCs, the exact companies that the government is now bailing out, that are helping out. These are the people who actually end up retrenching more people than the SMEs. Whereas the SMEs, many of them, during even the toughest of time, has chosen to dig into their own saving to keep jobs going. I think that's something that the government must recognize. And maybe because they recognize that, that's why the SMEs are not getting anything. Maybe the SMEs should be retrenching a little bit more this time. So in the future, the government will say, look, SMEs will help you, right? But in actual fact, for every time crisis like this happen, the government rely on the SMEs to keep the job going. And we have delivered. We have delivered. We have ensured the job's still going. We like I said, we take funds from our children's education fund and we say, look, we pay the salary first. We'll earn that back later, right? All of us do that. Most of us do that.
Yes.
But yet, when it comes to crisis situation like this, and we are crying for help, because this is unprecedented. This is not just the economic downturn. This is a viral pandemic, right? And we're asking and we're crying for help, and we're hoping that the government listen to that and really do something a bit more for the SMEs. If you don't mind, I want to share my own personal experience. Among the many businesses that I own a chain of ice cream shops. And during the best of time, ice cream is not the best of businesses. And as I think as early as December last year, when COVID started appearing, we see a dip of 70-80% of our business. People don't want to come in and dine in because there's virus going out around. So that means that the tight margin that we had is totally gone. So from December until March, every month we are subsidizing. We're paying money to ensure that the staff go on. So we have run out of cash altogether already. And by right, if you ask me now, we should have just closed shop, but we are not doing so. And not only that, I think many of people who are following my Facebook would know that last month, one of my apartments was burned down. Fire, whole house burned down. Yes. Terrible. Whatever emergency fund that we may have been used to ensure, look, the roof doesn't collapse, because majority of the house has been gone. The insurance will take some time to come in and pay the money. But in the meantime, we still have to fork out some money to ensure, the electricity, it's not dangerous for our neighbors. So we have to rebuild the roof using our own money and so on. So this is a terrible time for myself personally. And yet, as an SME, I feel that it is our obligation to ensure that business keep going. And that is why the ice cream shop is still there. All the employees is ensured, we told them, look, we are still going to pay your salary. That we are not operating, so nobody is working. But we say, we are committed to ensure, and that's our number one commitment, to ensure that all our employees get their salary on time so that they can feed their respective families. I think that is important. I think, and that's exactly not just myself. I'm sure everyone, including Dato Lawrence, are doing exactly that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Dato, I would like to ask you on another separate question. I think on the package that was also announced, I think the government has also larger the size of the loans that is eligible for SMEs to take, even the guaranteed one, and even some as small as the micro loans and etc. What is your personal opinion on this, when we know that we are not going to have revenues or businesses, or it's going to be badly affected for the next, 3, 6, 12, 18 months? What do you think what's your idea about this? And do you think SMEs will take up more loans to actually be in more debts?
I think some would, but let me put it into the perspective of the youths. Say, for example, you borrowed a car. You bought a car, 30,000 ringgit, and you got a loan. And you pay back your loan for 5 years' time. So you pay about 700 ringgit a month. So now what effective government is now saying is that for the next 6 months, you don't have to repay this 700 ringgit of monthly installment for your car. But correct. That also means that on a 7 month onwards, you'll pay a bit more. You'll pay 750, 800 or whatever not, to put on. And what this government is now telling you is that, look, if you cannot even pay the 750, 800 ringgit, why not we give you another loan? So the 30,000 loan that you paid off 2 years, now let's say 20,000. We give you a loan for the 20,000. So instead of paying the government back for paying back the car loan for the next three years, now you have to pay back the car loan for the next 9 years. Is that what you want? Is that what you want as an employee? Because that means prolonging, the duration that you repay back whatever it is that you borrowed. So that's exactly what is happening to the SMEs. For the majority of SMEs, if there's no need to borrow money, why would you do so? And you're not in a position to borrow money to begin with, because like Dato Lawrence has mentioned, you have zero income. Not just for during the MCO, but you may have zero income over the next 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. So the fact that you're being offered a loan is not necessarily a good thing.
So
Right.
do you think this solution is actually not really a solution? I mean, they actually larger the size. Now you can get more loans from the bank. So I don't think this is a proper solution for the SMEs, right?
I don't think so. I think most SMEs take loan for working capital and for growth
Right.
purpose. Let me say you have got an extra order, a million more order from somewhere, and you don't have enough money to buy raw material and so on. So you take those loans so that you buy the raw material, you convert it to goods, you sell it, and then you repay back to the bank. That is typically why an SME would take up a loan. In this case, we can expect the business will go down as little as 20% to as much as 90% after the MCO, right? So this is a no-brainer. I don't think there are many SMEs out there who are gung-ho enough to go out there and say, oh, I want to take another 2 million ringgit of loan at this time because the interests are low. There might be people doing that, because of their own purpose and reasons and so on, but I don't foresee many people taking up on that offer.
True. Understood. That's
right. Thank you very much. And yeah, so we have let's also somebody called Comic Bazaar say very meaningful advice from you, Dato.
Thank you, Comic.
John A1 says great perspective on guest workers specifically.
Thanks, Johan. Johan is my friend on Facebook. Thanks, Johan.
Me too. Right, Johan. And also, I'm also looking at your comments right there from your page, Dato. So there are some questions for you. So let me just take one question from this guy, from a gentleman called Jess Wong. All right. So Jess Wong say, Dato William, how company can bring their business to go digital?
Sorry, I got you just now. So I think it is very important for SMEs to realize, not just today because of the COVID pandemic, that the future is really into digital. You don't necessarily have to go into a digital business per se, but digital as an enabler is something that all SMEs must go through. For many SMEs who are familiar with digitization, then that is not a major challenge. By now, you would have gone digital in one way or another. But the challenge really is for SMEs, traditional SMEs, have zero knowledge, zero idea of how to go digital. That is where I think the vendors and the consultants can come in. I think open up ourselves to ideas from these people. You don't have to commit to anybody. You don't have to commit, to say, oh, I'm going to spend X amount of money on going digital. But open up our mind and think and talk to professionals who can assist and advise. And more importantly is to understand this. If our current business is not working, don't be stubborn and say, and continue doing it. I think if you need to pivot, if you need to change your business model to be digital, if you want to change, what you're selling, how you do it, the processes, the people, then I think that is what we must do.
Right. All right, that's a very good. Okay, so personally, I want to follow up on the question. So you mentioned don't be so stubborn and let's evolve the business. At what time do you know it's time to evolve? Because some people may want to persist, want to give it a try. How do we know when to put a full stop to that?
You see, as entrepreneurs, we tend to be very optimistic people. I think both of you would agree. We never think that what we do is going to be wrong. Because if we think if we know that, then we won't be entrepreneurs. Because I think that is a challenge. I think it is therefore very important for us to build a network of people that we can trust. Don't just ask yourself. Don't ask your wife or your husband. They may not give you the actual truth. Don't ask your employees. They are going to say whatever you want to hear. Most of them, right? Ask trusted fellow entrepreneurs. Don't ask one person. Ask your closest 5 people who know you the best. Ask them, do you think my business is sustainable? Do you think I'm doing the right thing? Those, I think, are honest feedback from outside, because these people are not part of your business, but they know you well enough to tell you, look, you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong. If one person say, don't do it, you start to question yourself. But if 20 people tell you, stop doing it, then I think it is time for you to start taking a deep look at what you have and really consider whether it's something that you want to pursue further or not.
Yes.
All right. I agree with this one point because again, we all tend to be very optimistic, right? Okay, speaking of which optimistic, so we have another person called XH Ong. Ong has a question that says that we are currently in the middle of the largest work from home experiment ever conducted. From the perspective of SME, do you think that this is tenable? Do you think that this is sustainable?
I think one of the best things that has actually come out from this entire MCO is it really speeds up SME's ability to work together with their employees to work from home. I think that's number one. For many years now, working from home is a domain of larger companies because one, they have the infrastructure to enable that. Two, they have the necessary KPI and performance management tools in place to ensure that when people are working from home, they're actually delivering and performing. And thirdly, they actually have a backup system where if, for example, you have 10 people in one department and 1 people fall off the radar, not performing up to standard, you have 9 people to back that up. In an SME, that has always been a trouble because you may have one person just doing that function. Say you have one finance person. If this finance person is working at home or supposedly working at home and not delivering, and payroll got delayed, instead of paying on the 28th, 29th of the month, this person said, I'm working from home, I got some other issues, my children is crying, this and that, I cannot deliver on 28th, I pay salary on the 7th of the next month, cannot. Most employers can accept that, right? So then what do you do? So I think one of the best things that's happened to SME is really, this forces us to look at work from home as a serious alternative, not just during the MCO, but also beyond MCO. I think that is very important. It also helped a lot of our employees to see that that their responsibility do not end within that 9 to 5, hours that you work in the company, but beyond that, that if you have to do something, you do it. So that's the kind of responsibility that we bring down to a lot of employees. I think this is something great, and I think that is something that that definitely will be sustainable moving forward, and I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Right. So thanks for that. Thanks, Ong, for the question. So I'm looking at your page as well. So we have another question by Marissa Ng. All right.
Marissa, hi Marissa.
Hi Marissa. Hi Marissa addresses this question. What are your views on how we can ensure SMEs are more resilient during this time? Too many SMEs seem to be very focused on surviving during MCO, but she believes that the bigger battle is post-MCO, and many are not focused there yet.
Yeah. Marissa herself is a fantastic resource for this. Marissa run a very successful coaching business, probably one of the most successful in the country. So, but I think ultimately, I think both Wesley and Dr. Lawrence would agree. Ultimately, business, you have to go back to basic. What do you mean by going by the basic? Is number one, we have to ensure that whatever we're selling, that we have the right product, that the product that we're selling is what people want. If you're going to have a product that nobody wants, it is just all hot air. There are plenty of such businesses out there. Then your business will not be sustainable, whether it is the MCO, whether it is the pandemic or not. It's not going to be sustainable in the long run. Secondly, do we or have we not built a process around those products? I think this is very important. As businesses, how are businesses different from, say, self-employment or freelancer or employee? Is that we build processes around it so that things can run on its own with or without us. And third is the third P, we have the first P, which is product, the second P, which is process. The third P is what we call the people. Are we able to track and ensure that our people, our employees are prepared to get things done and to get those processes going and delivering those products that we have to our customers? And finally, equally important is our profit. Are our businesses making a profit? We have heard so many horror stories of businesses getting funding, millions and billions of dollars, and yet not turning a single cent of profit. Zero. Every month you burn $1 million. Every month you burn 2 million, 5 million, 6 million. How do you consider that as a good business, right? I think ultimately, if you do not have any of these 4 Ps, the good product, good people, good processes, and ultimately good profit, then your business will not be sustainable, whether it is during this pandemic or after. Right.
So thanks for that. So we're going to take in probably just one last question. Anybody here, if you have any questions, do address to us. So there's one from also from your page as well, Dato. So where Jess Wong says, for such struggling time, what do you think SME needed most to ride this recession wave? Putting aside loan from government, marketing, innovative, sending the employee to train, have different approach. Do you have any more examples? I think you have addressed some of these questions, this particular question before, or do you want to have any addition to this?
I think there are a lot of things we can do, but 2 things very important. One, we must recognize that most employees out there, including those who are listening to this live session, care a lot more about our business than we think they do. I think that's number one. So that means that if you are facing any problem in terms of cash flow, in terms of paying salaries, in terms of ensuring that people continue with the job and so on, have a frank and heart-to-heart talk with your employees. Many of them are wiser than we think, right? And I'm sure that if we speak to them reasonably and explain the situation, there can be some form of negotiation, some kind of discussion that can happen between you and your employees. So I think that's very crucial. Number 2 is really to ensure that we are transparent in everything that we do with our landlords, with our customers, with our suppliers. If we cannot, pay our suppliers on time, or we're going to take a lot less than what we have committed. Say, for example, you have a minimum purchase contract with your supplier, 1 million unit in order to entitle to this particular price, and if you fall below that 1 million ringgit, 1 million unit, you may have to pay a higher price. Now is the time to negotiate with your vendors and say, look, can we renegotiate it and do and work on a different arrangement by providing them transparency, what is actually happening to your business and the economy. I think that is very crucial. Transparency is of paramount importance. And if I may add one more thing, Wesley, I think this is something very important to SMEs and also to many of our youth who are out there. And that is during tough time like this, there are going to be a lot of provocation from people, from employees who say, look, bosses are all evil. From bosses who think that, all employees are good for nothing. From people who actually spin and say, this COVID is caused by a certain race or religion or a group of people and so on. I think this is the worst time of all to actually split us. This is a time of all time for us to unite all Malaysians so that not only do we handle this pandemic together, we must also survive this pandemic and grow out stronger than we are. And for us to do so is for us to ignore all these disruptive and disunity noises. People who say, look, this race is terrible, you are doing this, you are doing that, and somebody else. And this is across the board, it doesn't matter which race, which religion. We see so many of all these things. So I'm asking everybody who is listening in, whether you're SME, whether you're bosses, whether you're employee, whether you're the youth and so on, please resist doing that. We all share the same country. We are not taking what we earn today, what we're getting today are not taken away from somebody else. The pie is big enough for everybody. So do not fight among ourselves. And I think that is very, very important.
Yes.
Very, very good point. Very good point. I think we are now have to be together to go through this together as well. So we're going to have one last question. I mean, unfortunately, we would love to chat with you more. We're going to have one last question from Michael Au. He has got a very interesting question. His question is, what do you think of the network marketing business model, given we have very good products?
I think like any other businesses, your business have to transform as well. Traditionally, network marketing involves a lot of face-to-face communication, to speak to prospects, to speak to your, your network and so on. I think that has to be transformed as well. You can do it digitally. A product is a product. It's not going to fade away. Just like I told one of my people in the network who owns a chain of hair salons. They're struggling. They say, look, what do we do? You cannot cut hair. Nobody want to come because you don't want to. Number one, you're not allowed to operate, and even allowed to operate, people are worried that they contract the COVID-19 from cutting hair. So again, it calls for transformation. And ultimately, if people need your product and your product is good, people will still come back to you after COVID-19, regardless.
Right. So thanks for that. And Ruben Teo says very realistic view and interesting discussion, Dato.
Thank you, Ruben.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, that will be the last question, all right? Because again, we actually thought that one had to do this for just half an hour. Okay, so for those of you here, if you have benefited so far, just send us your thanks, or give us your love, say hi to Dato William. Dato, it's been a privilege to have you on our afternoon chat. Not too sure if you have your coffee and tea, so we prepared this on behalf of our website. All right. So thank you very much for your time, and for those of you here who are watching this one right now, if there's any questions, you can actually follow the work of Dato William as well. So if any questions you can address, we would love to take this further. An interesting comment that somebody posted on, I think it was on your page, Dato William, says that we should do discussion just beyond Malaysia, but to the ASEAN level, because other countries are equally suffering as well. Yeah. So it's good. So so again, one more time, thank you so much for your time, Dato William, and for those of you here, thank you so much for your time. Give us your thanks, and also help us to like and share, so that we can benefit to many more people out there. And on behalf of My Princess, we want to say thank you for you all, and we'll be picking some lucky winners to walk away with our limited Touch and Go Tone Mahathir card. And so stay tuned with us. And just before we say goodbye again, one more time, thank you, Dato. So we're going to take a group picture. I'm going to snapshot. So maybe you can just keep we just have the sign. Or just look at the screen.
Can I see?
Okay, ready?
Yeah, okay.
1, 2, 3. All right, I'm gonna send it over to you. All right, one more
Thank you.
time. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, one more time. My name is Wesley. We have Lawrence here and Dato Williams. Thank you so much, and we hope to see all of you again. Stay home and stay safe. And Lawrence, you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you so much, Dato. Thank you so much. I've heard so much from you. I'm a personal follower to your Facebook as well. That's why I said we must get Dato William on this session. That I think a lot of businesses, business or business friends, and even our employees, they would like to hear from Dato. Dato, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And I hope that tomorrow morning we're gonna have a very special guest. I hope that you're gonna stay with us at 10:30 tomorrow morning. But again, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right. So Dato, do you have any last any last words of encouragement to our friends over watching this?
I think stay on there. I think there are many SMEs who are considering to give up to give up and throw in the towel. Do not do so, right?
Yeah.
Every disaster or every crisis has a timeline, right? This also will go away. So hang on there. Stay safe, and stay at home.
Stay at home. All right. Exactly. Staying at home right now. We all have to stay at home. And thank you so much for that, everybody. Thanks for watching. Continue to like and share. And one more time again, thanks, Dato William. And I will hope to see all of you again with that. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.